Welcome to episode 243 of the Shared Security Show. And joining me this week is Mr. Click Armor himself, co-host Scott Wright.
Hey, folks. Thanks, Tom. Good to
Yes.
see you.
Good to see you.
Where's our other partner in crime?
He's traveling. Again, he is the jet-setting world traveler this week.
Yeah,
at a conference. Yeah.
I forgot what that was like, jet setting.
I'm about to jet set tomorrow, actually, for another business trip. But
interesting.
I'm actually looking forward to it. So I've been doing a lot of traveling this year.
Yeah. I may start doing some soon, but haven't been lately.
You need to travel over to the United States there, Scott, one of these days.
Yeah. Someday I'll brave it.
You'll brave it. It's not so bad over here. Come on.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
Well, we have some interesting stories this week, and I wanted to start. It's really unfortunate Kevin's not here for this first story because it would just completely enrage him. Because we're talking about Facebook and how Facebook engineers have no idea where they keep your data.
Right. Yeah. I'll try and be as enraged as Kevin, but I don't think I can.
You don't believe it?
I can't match that. I don't believe it either. I mean, I believe that a particular engineer may not know where specific data is. So, I don't think that there's nobody who knows where a specific data is. And I think they said the fundamental problem, according to the engineers, is that Facebook's sprawl has made it impossible to know what it consists of anymore. Well, it's not like they're asking the right questions, right? I mean, they're asking two guys. I don't know the background of how they selected these guys to be the ones. And these guys don't know anything. Let them go and answer the questions, right?
Yeah.
But I would just say if Mark Zuckerberg said, I want to correlate this piece of data with this piece of data by next week, I think they'd figure out how to do that.
They would absolutely figure that out. Yeah. So the backstory to this is that back in March, there was a hearing basically continuing the lawsuit over Cambridge Analytica, the big data scandal several years ago. And they finally released the transcript of that hearing. And that's where this information came out that these two engineers, they were it seems like they were very honest, at least in their assessment of, we don't really know where all the data is because, like you said, Scott, it's kind of this complex beast within Facebook now that's really evolved over the years. And to me, it was interesting. They were even going into, how Facebook has that download your data tool. So you can and they say in that tool, because I know I used it before I deleted my Facebook account, that this is all of your data that Facebook has about you. And so in this article, which we'll link in the show notes, they talk about that this may not be all of your data because there's so many things that Facebook is tracking and they don't know where that data goes or necessarily know what that data is.
I would bet that, I'm probably sure, as many people are, that Facebook has profiles on people that have never had a Facebook account, right?
This is true. They do.
And so the minute you log in with, a phone number or email address, all that gets mapped to you. So what you give to Facebook, sure, they can say, this is all you ever gave us. But that doesn't tell you anything about what else they have about you.
That's right. So, even if you've never, like you said, even if you've never had a Facebook account, there is, just by the fact that your friends have things like say, how you can upload your contact list
to
Facebook to match your friends. Well, instantly they have your name, they have your phone number, other contact information that maybe one of your friends shared. So like you said, as soon as you log into Facebook, you've now populated that profile. So this is one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of Firefox has privacy controls that stop Facebook trackers and other things, why we always recommend using browser plugins and other things that stop like the Facebook pixel and other things from from tracking you, even if you don't have a Facebook account.
Yeah, I mean that will help. It won't solve the bigger problem of them having all that data and just not telling you about
Right.
it. There are ways I think I remember finding in some deep setting in Facebook where you can see what merchants they have on record that have provided data about you, and that's a huge list of.
It's enormous.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, so again, definitely check out the link in the show notes. It's an interesting read, and like you said, Scott, I think they just need to spend a little bit more time and money to figure out where all your data is stored.
It's a big
and what
shell
type of
game.
data.
I don't doubt that it's a very complex distributed thing that no one person could probably identify in their lifetime, but there's probably tools that they can use that would really easily, identify that stuff and
That's
locate
right.
it. Anyway,
And they're engineers, right? Engineers figure things out, right?
Yeah,
they solve problems.
Yeah. So yeah, not a great argument.
No, definitely not. So let's jump into this week's segment. Aware much?
Yes, indeed. We have a doozy of an Aware Much installment today, don't we? Thanks to Aaron Infosec on Twitter and Rachel Toback for articulating a growing threat that Aaron kind of coined as spearsmishing.
Spearmishing, yes.
Well, I thought it was spearsmishing, but because it's like they're targeting people with SMS messages. Isn't it?
It could be that. It could be that, or
maybe
it could be.
I think I read spearmishing too, but I think that might have been a typo because it doesn't make as much. Maybe that's what it is. But
I like them both.
I'm calling it spearsmishing just because it's harder to say. But here's how it works. So imagine a new hire at a company gets an SMS message from one of their company's executives introducing themselves and asking for their help. Coincidentally, this usually happens after an employee or even a manager or maybe even LinkedIn automatically, when you change your profile status saying you now have a new job, makes an announcement on LinkedIn about the new position, right? And so that allows people to see that you've just joined a company or just had a new role. And this is the kind of thing, as you know, when you get a message from an executive that says, hey, can you give me a hand? It's the first indicator of it's probably going to be a gift card scam, right?
That's right.
They're just trying to find out if you're available and if you will respond to any request they make. I see in the future this is going to evolve from gift card scams, which just happen to be easy to monetize, but attackers are going to use it for, getting access to source code libraries or whatever, right? I mean, anything could happen, right? From a text message from somebody you think is your boss. But it's clever because most new hires don't know much about the organization or its executives or even the norms for communicating within the company. So is this okay that the executive sent me this message? I guess so. Everything is really new, right? When you're a new employee.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a question about how the attackers were able to target these unwitting new hires. And a lot of people I saw speculating, believe it's done using a combination of data brokers and LinkedIn. Data brokers, kind of like the ones we just talked about on the Facebook story, who seem to be everywhere. And it makes sense, but I think it's really just a simple concept. When you think about it, a lot of people have their personal mobile numbers for a long time and they can port them from one carrier to another. So, I mean, I've had my mobile number since 2003, I think. So almost 20 years. And so when at some point or some data broker is going to have access to that number, and that's all they need, and except that they just need the news that, okay, now you're a new employee at a certain company. Then they just have to find what executive are you likely to respond to a request from. And I know it's not quite as easy in the regular LinkedIn where you can find the people in an organization, you can search by role, but you don't know for sure whether people work for each other or if they're in the same organization. But in some of the higher level tools like Sales Navigator in LinkedIn, you get what they call an account map, for an organization. And it actually ties people closely to other people in the organization. So that makes it easy for an attacker really to put it together and say, okay, I'm going to target this person, but with this impersonated executive, and I'll send it to the cell phone number they've had for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
And then it just seems like, oh, this is just something new from the executive. So what do you think of this, Tom?
Yeah, I think, in fact, we're seeing this at my company. happened to new hires just last week, ironically.
Yeah.
So this is a popular thing that is going around. And I think you're right. I think they are getting this, through there's lots of different sites that you can actually,
Yeah.
people look up tools and
Yeah,
other
there's Zoom
things.
Info, there's
Of
Lucia,
course.
there's Seamless. Yeah, all those.
Yeah, it's very easy to find somebody's personal phone number. And also depending on the access that you have on LinkedIn, and you can share, contact information publicly. Like Kevin is a great example. I mean, his phone number, he's even said it's public information to him. You could just Google Kevin Johnson, you'll find his phone number. So a lot of people just openly share that to begin with. But what they're seeing, and I thought Rachel's comment was interesting on how she's seeing more organizations that are telling employees, do not post on LinkedIn that you have a new position with the company, because that is the trigger for a lot of these attackers. They're looking and they're scraping LinkedIn for that information that somebody is just starting a new job. Here is a new target for them to go
Yeah,
after.
that's actually a really hard one to enforce, because when you have something like Sales Navigator, you can see how long somebody has been in a position. They don't have to announce it. It's just
That's
any
true.
change in their profile information about what their job is and who they work for. That's easy to find within the paid version of LinkedIn.
Yeah, and then I know there's people that just are either not using LinkedIn or just haven't changed their profile in years. I've seen that myself. You'll see somebody's work anniversary pop up, and then like, wait a minute, like that person left that company like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But they forgot to update their profile. So there's that too.
Yep. So anyway, the ClickArmor Aware Much tip today, as usual, is if you aren't expecting that text message, just don't fall for it. Don't respond to it right away. Always check a different channel like email or phone, or even these days Teams or Slack. You can reach out to somebody that seems to be close to you that you deal with regularly. It's easy to check with them. But this is just one more type of threat that really can't be taught that easily or assessed with respect to employee awareness using traditional awareness platforms. So that's why ClickArmor's use of what we call social simulations is really the best way to create a resilient culture where people are up to date on the kinds of threats that they may be targeted with. So we have a highly interactive and immersive set of lessons and challenges, and we'll make the team much more prepared for the next attack. So visit clickarmor.ca/shared security.
And you've been doing some really cool webinars lately, haven't you, Scott?
Yeah, it's actually taken on a kind of good amount of momentum. We're doing the Cybersecurity Awareness Forums every 2 weeks now, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Our next one, if you're not too late in listening to this podcast or watching, it's Wednesday the 21st next week at 2 p.m. Eastern. And
Nice.
yeah, we have a panel of great people from all over, including, AJ Lease out in Calgary, Tyler Sweeney in California, Fleetus Poston in North Carolina, and others as well. So great diversity of a panel, and we just have a lot of fun and great value in discussing some of the issues that come up, especially around security awareness. We'll dig into all the different things. This week, we're going to look a little bit at what do employees need to know about incident response, business continuity, disaster recovery. We talk a lot about the planning and communication at the management level, but what do employees really need to understand about those processes?
Very cool.
So you can join us there at clickarmor.ca/CSAF.
Excellent. And we'll also have that linked in the show notes for everyone. All right. Well, let us go to our last story. And so let me ask you a question, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel if your electric company locked you out of your smart thermostat if the weather got a little too hot?
Well, I wouldn't be happy. I kind of like my air conditioning, right?
Do you? Yeah. Even up in Canada?
Even in Canada, we use air conditioning. That's right.
Oh.
Not all of the year, but I thought it was interesting that in this article, the utility had a program that everybody was encouraged to sign up for that says, you know what, you sign up for this thing, and when we're in a crisis mode, basically we're going to sort of disable your heat or air conditioning or electricity.
Yeah, your thermostat.
Thermostat, that's it. Yeah,
so you can't use it.
Can't use a thermostat. So you just go with whatever temperature the ambient air is, right?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting concept, and they probably didn't think through all the worst case scenarios, but I think one of them probably came to light.
Yeah. So about 22,000 Excel customers, this is in Colorado. I think it's around the Denver area. On August 30th, lost access to control their smart thermostats because of, you've heard the news about all the wildfires and about the really crazy weather that's been going on out west. And it's really stressing the power grid, especially in states like California, but Colorado is having the same issues. So, like you said, people that signed up for this, they got a $25 credit per year, which doesn't even seem like a lot of money.
Yeah,
And I think an initial one-time $100 credit. I think that's what the motivator
probably
was for
hooked them.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's interesting, so I dug into this a little bit more. There was a thread on Reddit, which we'll also link in the show notes for people. And they were talking about how you're actually able to bypass that within your smart thermostat. It has to be a certain model of smart thermostat, first of all, or brand, let's just say. And I guess you could go into the settings and you can, opt out or bypass that in some way. But it was interesting on this thread. People were talking about most people don't even know how to operate their own smart thermometers, thermostats in their house. So
It's
there's that
interesting.
problem.
It's really interesting. It was very familiar as a story because I actually think my parents mentioned a while ago that they had signed up for some program where the utility could actually control their thermostat. And I'm going, really? That sounds, first of all, very advanced technology. And second of all, not like something that they would actually want to have happen. But I guess it does save them some money. But they've kind of lost track of it, and people forget that even is active, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if, the rare occasion that we're going to have this extreme emergency situation where we have to, balance the power grid. I think a lot of people don't think about this and they forget what they signed up for. But I also think that this is probably, just the beginning of other types of companies and utilities, doing the same kind of thing. I mean, we've seen this already just with the internet, right?
Yeah.
Companies some of them actually regulate bandwidth, depending on demand or, other types of
Yeah.
things.
And in this case, it was accidental, right? Or unintended in terms of the uprising or the major disruption or inconvenience that it caused. But imagine it wouldn't be that far out of the question for that utility to get hacked and an attacker take over a bunch of customers' thermostats.
But I also want to state that this was an opt-in program. So people did sign up for this willingly.
Yeah.
So if you don't read the fine print,
that's the risk really is you got to make sure you understand not only what they're advertising, but what the terms of service are. And maybe when you sign up for one of these things, if you decide to, make sure you do check out all the settings so that if something does happen, you can opt out.
That's right. So, and always read those terms of service. We always talk about when you sign up for any type of service, no matter what it is, you should be reading the privacy policy and really understand what you're signing up for. But as we know, most people unfortunately don't read any of those things.
True. Life's too short to read all the terms of service.
Yeah,
I should make a T-shirt out of
that. You should make a T-shirt.
We could have a shared security show T-shirt that says
"Life's too boring to read privacy policies." SharedSecurity.net. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
Well, I think that's all we have time for today. We'll keep this one short and sweet. Maybe next week we'll have Kevin back.
Maybe we can revisit the Facebook rant.
Yeah, we could just get his opinion. It'll be fun and entertaining as always.
Awesome.
I will give a quick just a plug for we do have a new service called ratethispodcast.com/shared security. If you go there, you can rate us on your favorite podcast app, whatever you choose to listen to the podcast. So we would really appreciate the support if you can give us a rating and review. Much appreciated. But until next time, Scott.
Safe travels, Tom, through all your conferences and things. So, but we'll see you folks next time.
Sounds good. And thanks everyone for listening, and talk to you all next week. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, hit that like and subscribe button. To catch all the latest from the show, visit our website, sharedsecurity.net. Follow us on Twitter at SharedSec, and join our Reddit community on the Shared Security Show subreddit.